He's changed America more than anyone since Reagan. He's extremely effective at what he does. What is he good at? In my opinion, he's not a community organizer, he's a resentment organizer. He knows how to tap the deep veins of human resentment. He knows how to convert low emotions of envy and hatred into elevated emotions of nobility and justice and equality and my fair share. I'm not asking for any more than my fair share. This kind of indignation. Now, by the way, this is a very special and unique quality that traditional thieves don't have. Normally, thieves don't have a halo. I go to the guys in my confinement center, I think of Luca Brasi in The Godfather. Luca Brasi doesn't want to come across as a good guy. He just wants to use straight-out intimidation to get his goal. These are thieves of a very special sort. They are thieves who traffic in the language of morality. They're very good at it. We are very bad at knowing what to do with them and how to handle them. And the worst of us is the entrepreneur, who's totally defenseless against them, does not know how to speak the language of justice, and is focused on his or her own company, and thinks that if you protect your company and watch the numbers, your assets are going to be secure. And I want to suggest that America, having moved away from this, is moving back into what can be called the Wild West, in which you go out and you make a homestead and you protect your business, yeah, but you are really stupid if you don't realize I need to build a fence around my company. I need to invest some resources in protecting not just my company, but the very system of capitalism that enables my company to succeed. Because actually there are real people with enormous power. They're more powerful than us in America right now. They control the following institutions: politics, media, entertainment, education. All the big megaphones are owned by them. Our megaphones are little whispering devices. Even if we had all the best ideas, it does us no good because we can't get them out. I'll say in conclusion, small thing. So, are we going to lose? Well, that's kind of up to us. For me, America's meant the world to me. I mean, I came to the United States at the age of 17. I had $500 in my pocket. That $500 I thought was supposed to last me for a year while I was an exchange student. But I never went home. So it actually had to last me through 4 years of Dartmouth. So when I hear all this talk about income inequality, the top bracket, the second bracket, the third bracket, the bottom bracket, the floor, I realize I've been in all those brackets. They're talking about me at different stages of my life. When I started out, I couldn't afford to eat at McDonald's. It was way too expensive. So America has delivered to me, I don't just mean material prosperity, the chance to make my own life. And that American, we're the only country that even has a dream. There's no Chinese dream, there's no French dream. There's only the American dream. We're it. This American dream is gravely endangered, in my opinion. And it's time to actually learn to fight. Now, in my own career, I'm a think tank guy. And I'm sort of an academic and a speaker. Most of what I do now is not any of those things. What I've actually done is kind of re-engineered my career, and I basically said, look, let me identify the institutions in which the left is really powerful and create rival beachheads for every one of those. You'll see in the next year or so I'm creating a whole new type of online university with superstar academics, offering a world-class education at a price that will, well, let's just say, be very frightening to most of academia. Media. The power of Hollywood isn't Michael Moore. I mean, I can do the Michael Moore thing. Michael Moore's made 15 films. Of the top 10 documentaries, he has 5. But he has 5 out of 15 tries. I have number 2 and number 6. I've made 2 films. I have 2 out of 2 tries. So the documentary film market is important, but it's not. Hollywood's real propaganda weapon is feature films, romantic comedies, horror films, big animated films. Debates like gay marriage are not won in Congress. That debate was won before it ever became a legislative issue. And so you can't fight just on one front. When I meet the Republicans, I'm driven to dismay, pulling my hair out and contemplating suicide, because literally all they want to know is stuff like, Dinesh, who do you support for 2016? Who? And I'm thinking to myself, that that doesn't even begin to get at what needs to actually be done. So, now, here's the good news. Lincoln once said that America is run by public opinion. But he did not mean America is run by the opinions of the public. The actual public has no influence. The actual public votes once every 4 years, if it isn't raining. Otherwise, it doesn't even care. But there is a smaller group of people, I would number that as about 100,000 people. They're the ones who determine the contours of American politics. These are the people who are in some ways hands-on. Probably includes many of the people in this room. But if you're a lobbyist, if you're a blogger, if you are active in social media on the political front, then you are one of that elite group. And Lincoln's point was that group sets the goalposts in which all politics must move. A lot of influence that we can exert, but we exert very little of it. Just like they say that in your brain you only use a small percentage of the actual brain's capacity. The truth of it is most of us, in my opinion, use about 7 to 10% of our actual influence. So we say, America's in trouble, but our actions show that we don't think it's in trouble. Because if it were really in trouble, it's kind of like you discover your kid's on drugs. If you actually care about that, you're going to move, and you're going to move now. And you're going to actually intelligently think about what needs to be done to stop that. If America's really in trouble, all our actions don't make any sense. I go to Republican clubs where people buy my book, but there's no actual attempt to fight. There's no actual attempt to engage the other side. Now, the other side thinks about this all day. This is their profession. This is what they do. Politics is their thing. So they're, you might say, highly motivated thieves. And we are highly unmotivated victims of theft. But, as I said, there are ways to fix that. I want to end with a story that one of my professors once told me about the lion tamer and the lion. So here's the lion, and here's the little lion tamer. And the lion tamer has a little stick. The lion tamer moves his little stick, and the lion obediently jumps up and down, moves left and moves right. And the question my professor asked was, who is actually more powerful, the lion tamer or the lion? Well, it's the lion. So why is the lion then so sycophantically and obediently responding to the little twirlings of the lion tamer? Why is the lion doing that? And the answer is equally obvious. The lion doesn't know that. The lion doesn't actually know its own power. The lion thinks the lion tamer is more powerful. And what's going on right now with the administration, with the government, for all the great marshalling of all their rigmarole, for all the nonsense that they're up to, I mean, look at me. I've basically had the whole power of the U.S. government trained on me, and I'm still here. And I'm not even missing a finger or a toe. And actually, even though they're pursuing me, I'm driving them nuts. But I'm driving them nuts because driving them nuts is my career goal. So I spend as much time as they do thinking about this. And all I'm trying to say is invest, run your businesses, do what you do, but recognize that you now have a homestead that is in a little more fragile territory. Normally, we don't care. Normally, if you live in a house, you don't care about the blueprints to build a house, right? It's only when your house begins to shake, then you begin to say, I better go in the attic, I better get those blueprints out. Well, this is such a time in America, in my view, that, and it's been a time before, during the Revolution, during the period leading up to the Civil War, World War II, America has faced those kind of precarious, pivotal moments. You can look at them as a crisis, or you can look at them as an opportunity. It's an opportunity, actually, to make a difference, to save the country. It's an opportunity for heroism in ways that normally don't exist. So, to me, it's a good time. It's a good time, and we are actually very strong, but most of our power is unharnessed. I was teaching English to Hispanics for the past 8 months. Yeah, that's my community service. I teach about 120 students in different classes, beginner, and so on. So initially I thought, I'm going to be super sneaky. I'm going to start teaching them some highbrow political stuff. R is for Republican. were clever. Then I realized that they don't have any interest in that. They only want to figure out how to get to the bus stop. Most of the guys are in that class because they work at Target and they want to become a manager. But if you're a manager, you have to send out emails. And if you send out emails, they need to be in English. So I realized that these people live in a different world. And all the normal Republican outreach is kind of useless. Because the Republican outreach was, let's get 10 liaisons in every state and ask those 10 people to get 10 more liaisons and blah, 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 blah. But none of it actually filters down. So over 8 months, these people basically got to know me, and then for Christmas I gave them all my America films, a bunch of them watched it, and then they asked me questions about what happened to me, and over time what really happened is they began to realize that my story, although completely different, and I actually don't speak a word of Spanish, and didn't make any effort to learn. Reagan had just issued his strategic defense policy and his military buildup to help bring down the Soviet Union, reduce it, in his words, to the ash heap of history. And the Catholic bishops were super upset about this. And they issued a pastoral letter on nuclear weapons condemning Reagan, the Reagan administration. Weapons are bad. This is a militaristic, warmongering policy, and so on. I was then a young journalist in my 20s. And rather than be super indignant about this, everyone was writing lengthy refutations of the bishops and so on. I did something that was admittedly somewhat low and malicious, but also very effective, which is I actually got on the phone and talked to about 24 bishops. And I got them on the phone, and I literally would ask them things like this. What percentage of our military budget is spent on defense? And I realized they had no idea. And then I would ask them, how many warheads on an MX missile? And I realized they have no idea. And then I would say, have you heard of the Strategic Defense Initiative? And they would go, yeah. And I would go, what is it? So I don't know. I realized that these guys were well-meaning guys who were essentially engaged in pastoral duties and were being drawn into politics by a group of staffers at the U.S. Catholic Conference who had a political agenda and were calling the bishops into making their political agenda the sine qua non of Catholic morality. And these bumbling bishops were going along because they thought these guys know what they're talking about and we don't. So very often in politics, you have to diagnose where the actual energy is coming from. So that was all my article was. It was just called The Bishops as Pawns. I simply quoted these guys on and on and on. And it was super effective because it helped people to see we don't have to condemn the bishops. In some ways, they're doing what they do, which is to be bishops. It's just that they have been unwittingly pulled into. So my point was their encyclical issued by the bishops should carry no moral authority. These aren't the bishops actually expounding Catholic teaching. Rather, this is a political agenda being driven from below. So one of our weaknesses today is we don't have a lot of journalism on our side, exposing what's going on the other side. So there are so many things that we need to do. It's not just a matter of giving more money to candidates. It's not that. It's about creatively creating new institutions that can effectively engage these battles. I'll leave you on a small example, and then I'll just say a word to conclude. Comedians. On the left, Bill Maher, Jon Stewart, Colbert. On our side, makes you think, doesn't it? Those three guys, that unholy trinity, has a huge influence on young people. Not on their conclusions, but on their assumptions. And not just on their assumptions, on their idea of what is cool. When I debated Christopher Hitchens, we debated 10 times. In fact, we had a debate right here in Orange County in a synagogue with Dennis Prager years ago. I always realized that there's no point, it's not enough for me to defeat Hitchens in the debate. It's not enough for me to defeat him intellectually because the people watching the debate aren't just looking for that. They're looking for who's the more fun guy to go to dinner with. Who would they rather pattern their life on, Hitchens or me? If I win the debate, but I come across as some boring, nerdy, uptight guy, and Hitchens comes across as a really cool guy who goes to North Korea and chased by mullahs in Iran, he's going to win the debate, even if he loses intellectually. Similarly for us, we can't come across as some fuddy-duddy group of people who are just trying to restore ancient America. We've got to come across as super cool, super interesting, the people with all the best ideas, the the people who are actually trying to make social justice in its true form work, i.e., we want people to get their fair share, but their fair share as determined by the actual dollar votes of consumers. That's their fair share. It's not their fair share as arbitrarily decided by some thief.